views expressed on this program are not necessarily the views of the Glory 980 AM, the Glory Media Group LLC, WDDO AM, its staff, management, or advertisers, but are the views and opinions of the participants of the broadcast.
All right.
Elaine, better ask Elaine. Ask Elaine, better ask Elaine. Ask Elaine, better ask Elaine. Ask Elaine, better ask Elaine.
Well, welcome. Tuned into Ask Elaine. This is your voice, Commissioner Elaine Lucas, welcoming you to the program today. And we just are so grateful to have you there. And you look over on the other side of the screen, you will see that we have none other than Otis Redding the third
Yes,
on
ma'am.
with us today, and we are so very pleased to have him here today. Before we talk with our special guest, we want to once again welcome all of you to the program today. We are just so happy to have you there, whether you're on 980 AM, whether you're on 107.9 FM, whether you're here and you can see us on the Glory live or whatever the medium. We are just so happy to have you there. We want to congratulate all of the graduates of all of the high schools, all of the colleges, all of the professional schools, wherever you graduated. We want to congratulate you. And we also want to congratulate the 23 new high school graduates of EL High School Academy. We had graduation Saturday at historic Stewart Chapel AME Church. It was a full house. We had our board members, our staff, we had our volunteers, we had former students who were in attendance there at historic Stewart Chapel AME Church. And our graduates, we always tell them, Otis, that they're going to have that old ugly cry. That cry, when you're really happy about
That's
something.
right.
They don't believe it,
Uh-huh.
but they're believers now. They know what it feels like to achieve that high school diploma, something that it seems like it was out of their reach,
Right.
but they kept reaching for it,
What a
kept
blessing.
working toward it, and they successfully earned their high school diploma. And now they can go wherever they want to go. The
Get
sky's
started.
the limit.
That's right.
Our own district attorney, Anita Reynolds Howard, gave the motivation
Great.
on Saturday and presented our graduates with their high school diploma. And that was just such a thrill for all of us. So, if you want to check out some of the pictures, some of the short clips from graduation, just go on over to our Facebook page, EL High School Academy, and you'll get a chance to see those folks, those very grateful individuals who achieved earning their high school diploma. And by the way, if there's anyone else who would like to enroll, we are enrolling students all the time. All you have to be is 16 years old and have a desire and be motivated to earn your high school diploma. And you do earn it. It's a lot of hard work. You have to show what you know. and show that you have the ability to find that information that you're not quite sure of, and then put it on paper and show
Yes.
us that you know it. So that's it. The enrollment is very simple. We have orientation once per month. It's a 2 hour session. And after the orientation, then you are enrolled in your class. Our students do one class at a time, because one of the problems that we have found in traditional school settings is that students have too much to do. And that doesn't help you to learn if you are overcrowded, overworked, you have too many things to do at one time. This learning should be a wonderful, pleasing experience. And we have found that many students are just overwhelmed.
Right.
They have too much to do. And
Yes.
for those of you parents who think that your children have too much homework, they probably do. A child should only have about 20 minutes times the grade that they're in. So if they're in kindergarten, all their little coloring and all their little stuff should amount to maybe 20 minutes.
Hmm.
They're in first grade, maybe 20 minutes of homework, because homework is a review of what the teacher has taught in school. It is not supposed to be new skills and activities. Why would you give homework on something that you have not taught or that a student is not familiar with? That doesn't make sense. If you're in second grade, of course, you're going to maybe do 30 minutes
Hmm.
of homework. That's total. Now, some people can disagree with me, but those are the people who end up with their children very frustrated, because all they do after they get out of school, they grab a bite to eat, maybe, and then they sit down with the parents, because parents have to help them with a lot of the stuff that people are giving them, and they trudge through and sometimes fall asleep
Right.
in too much work.
Okay.
So you can't have school 24/7.
Mm.
It cannot be, it should not be. And your child should really enjoy doing the work and reviewing the work. And I'll repeat one more time, homework should be practiced over what has been taught in class. So take it from this 40-year veteran of education. uh, Sometimes people will overwork, and you don't have to go to the school and fuss and carry on. You sit and have a conversation and share the information that this is just too much. It's overkill. It's too much. We want to say hello to Sherry Shannon Miller, to Miss Jeanette Goff. We also want to say hello to Randy Crawford, who has joined us on Facebook Book Live. And so we have a caller, I believe. Caller, are you there?
Yes,
All right. Go ahead.
Commissioner Elaine. This is our Minister Laura Cherry.
Yes, yes.
Good afternoon.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing fine. I'm doing fine. I just wanted to make an announcement, if I may.
All right. That would be great.
Okay, the St. John Missionary Baptist Church, we are having a fun day on Saturday, July the 16th,
Mhm.
2022, from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's a community found fun day. We're inviting the community to come and join us. We're going to have educational resources, career opportunities, mobile games, music, prizes, and food. And we're
Ah,
going to have health screening. And it's a community uh, function, and we're inviting the community to come out and join us if they will. So save the date, July the 16th, 2022, St. John Missionary Baptist Church, 910 Key Street, where the Reverend Dr. Ralph Cherry is pastor. So we're
yeah.
looking forward to seeing each and every one. Thank
You
you so much.
area still honeymooning, aren't you?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. We celebrating 4 years on the 20th of this month.
What now?
I said
Which
we'll be celebrating 4 years on the 20th of this month.
more? Oh,
July. I'm
that
sorry.
time
July.
flies, doesn't it? Well, y'all still
Uh,
honeymooners. Y'all still grinning at each other whenever I see you. But we want to follow up and to repeat what Minister Cherry has said. They want you to come join them at St. John Baptist Church on July 16th. And Pastor Cherry, we're going to continue to make this announcement, but you are welcome to call us every Wednesday if you like and just remind us of this community fun day that's going to have educational resources, health screenings, they'll have blood pressure checks, free school supplies, lots of fun, games, and fellowship for the entire family. Games, music, prizes. And this is July the 16th from 10 until 1 at St. John Baptist Church. And so we've got the flyer and we will continue to remind everybody. And as I said, you are welcome to call us each Wednesday to add
okay,
in
thank you
your
so much. Thank you.
thank you. Thank you for your call.
Bye bye.
All right. Bye. Overseer Mabel Randall has joined us. We are glad to have her. Rhonda Bird, who's the president of the morning drive time. Are you familiar with the drive time?
Yes, ma'am.
Early in the
Yes,
morning.
ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Boy, that wakes you up,
Gets you
doesn't it?
gets you
Well,
going. Gets you going.
Rhonda Bird is the president, and we also have First Lady Sherry Shannon Miller and a number of other people, was Goff and Randy Crawford, who all have joined us today.
Right.
We're going to talk about some community issues with Otis Redding III. And first of all, I want to welcome him. Welcome to Ask Elaine.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for having me.
And first of all, tell us, it, there may be somebody out there who is there anybody who hasn't heard of Otis Redding,
The,
your late dad, or
there are
the
some.
Reddings, or anything?
Yes.
Tell us about that music background.
Well, there are some younger people coming up. Maybe some people I run into some people sometimes in their 30s. That's pretty young, and they don't quite know
Uh
until
huh.
you make them familiar by giving them words from a song or singing a, you
Yeah.
know, that song, and then,
Yeah.
but it's a lot more than that. That knows
Which
them that
song are young people most familiar with? Which one is it? Is it?
try a little tenderness
Okay.
because
Okay.
of the fact that Kanye West and Jay Z
Uh
did
huh.
the song and used his
Uh
voice
huh.
in their
Uh
song,
huh.
and the song was called Otis. So,
Uh huh.
but mostly people are very familiar with Sitting on the Dock of the Bay because their
Yeah.
parents have heard it.
Yeah.
And some of those ballads, like Try a Little Tenderness and These Arms of Mine, their parents played them so much around the house. They was like,
Right.
oh, I was on Hollingsworth Road last month working
Bellevue,
out.
my old
Yeah, I was
neighborhood.
out there, and
Yeah.
this it was so different. It was such a good feeling. There was a kid walking up the street. Well, he was a young man. He wasn't really a kid, and he had a book bag on, and I was kind of moving out of the way to give him his space to walk by, and he was listening. He was walking to work, but he actually had his phone streaming his music,
Uh huh.
and right as he walked past me, he was listening to Otis Redding, and I asked him,
Teachable moment.
yeah, I
Uh
asked him.
huh.
I said, "Well, what do you know about that music?" He says, "My mom put me on to him. He got a good voice."
Oh my,
I said, "What a
my, my,
blessing!
my.
What a blessing!"
Uh, well, we aren't teaching our kids nearly enough
Right,
about things, so they can't be proud of things that they really aren't familiar with, and
right,
that's why Black history needs to be mainstream again. At one time, there was Black history taught in the schools. You had community organizations that had Black history
right.
workshops, symposiums, things like that. We really ought to start doing that again. We have a Black history course at EL High School
Oh,
Academy that many of our students take. It's just um, a course. It does not go in depth on a lot of black folks, a
Hmm.
lot of our history, but it's enough to get folks thinking about, well, gosh, I had some folks in the past and who are presently doing things that
Right.
I need to be proud of and
Exactly.
aware of.
Hmm.
So that's Pastor Lisa Watson has joined us. You see her comments that Otis had a group called Pine
Yeah,
Toppers.
with Johnny
Her
Jenkins.
daddy, that's her daddy.
Oh,
That's
oh,
Lisa. Her mom, um, Pastor Lisa. We're talking about you. We know you're there.
yes.
She says her uncle was famous Johnny Guitar
Very,
Jenkins.
very
Uh
thankful
huh.
for Mr. Jenkins because without Mr. Jenkins, my father actually was his valet, well, his
That's
driver,
what she's
and
saying.
drove
Yeah.
him to Memphis, Tennessee, to do a recording session. And my father asked, could he just have a few minutes to sing? And Mr. Johnny Jenkins and Steve Cropper and a couple of other people that were there, Booker T, and
Uh
all,
huh.
they gave my father an opportunity to sing a song he had wrote, and that was the start of his career. So
Oh.
much respect to Mr. Jenkins.
Uh huh. Uh huh. Well, Pastor Lisa, we're getting this history today. Something that Macon is known for, and more people know about and appreciate the musical history of Macon than the local folks.
Right.
Um, it's a shame, but there's some kind of a quote that says that you gain more honor
Away.
away than
Yes.
you do in your own, and that should not be.
It shouldn't
It
be.
should not be.
It shouldn't be.
Um, but anyway, um, Pastor Lisa says, did Johnny Jenkins give Otis Redding part of his musical start? And you just mentioned
Yes, very
that
much.
whole thing, and that is correct,
Yes.
Pastor Lisa. And we're glad to have you on with us. Let's go ahead with what you were talking about as far as that legacy, that history. And now, you know, my cousin, Sylvester
Oh my
Huckabee
goodness. Listen,
Vest.
listen.
Now that's a story in
Yes.
itself, and we'll
Hmm.
get to that. Go ahead with what you were saying.
I was just saying, just as you were speaking about people being local and having to leave and kind of go away to make more history, that is so true. But we have a tendency to overlook when we write in our own community. We have a tendency to kind of overlook and not really respect what we have.
Yeah,
I feel like that's what happened with the Georgia Music Hall of Fame. I
right,
feel like there were, I was asking people, there were so many people from Macon, Georgia, who had never been to the museum. And I
right,
feel like locally we should have done something to encourage them there. For one,
right,
to teach them about the history of making music,
right.
and it should not have had to cost them to come. And the fact that if we had got them those locals to come and participate, they would have told other people when they were coming from out of
Yeah,
town.
we have a little bit of a problem supporting things, and
Mhm.
we can have more if we support.
Right.
If we support what we have. So that's just our lesson for today. You know, if we want to keep things, then we need to support it.
Right.
Um, Promoters in Macon are just as nervous as they can be about promoting shows and artists in Macon,
Hmm.
because we don't buy our tickets in advance. We wait.
To the
We
last
might,
minute.
we might not
Yeah.
go and support. So people are skeptical about booking
Hmm.
folks into
Exactly.
Macon, because they're in it for a profit. They're in it to make money. So they've got to sell tickets, and we
Right.
need to start buying tickets ahead of time. There are a lot of other things that we buy
Hmm. Yes,
that
indeed.
we want. We buy
Yes.
what we want,
Hmm.
and so I would just encourage us to kind of try and get our tickets as early, and folks sitting at that time, and she trying to tell me how to spend my money, and say I can just hear it. I've been colored all my life. I can just hear it. But my point is that if we want to have more things to happen in our community, then we've got to do what's necessary to encourage
Yes.
those folks who are promoters
Yes.
to continue bringing that entertainment to us, so we don't have to always go to Atlanta or Augusta or Savannah
Right.
or
Exactly.
Montgomery or wherever else,
Exactly.
Jacksonville,
Hmm.
where we go. Go ahead.
Yeah, we have to motivate our culture to support our music. We should not let Macon's, rich music heritage fall by the wayside, and we should stamp it and claim it and remember. Uh, I call it like the big three. You have Little Richard,
Yeah.
Otis Redding, and
Uh-huh.
the Allman Brothers. That's
Yeah.
that's really the big three of Macon, and we have to be proud of that.
Yeah.
There was James Brown also, but he was from Augusta. But when you think about Macon, you think about Otis Redding and Little Richard, and we should be very proud of that and keep pushing the envelope. To
That's right.
not let it fall by the wayside.
And the Little Richard house, I don't know what the um support is like over there. I know Macon Bibb County supports
Hmm.
the work of the group, the community group that's working to keep that in place. And I know we paid for improvements to the Little Richard house and for it to be moved
Right.
across the interstate
Hmm.
to
Yes.
the Pleasant Hill, into another part of Pleasant Hill, and it's now a resource center. But you ought to go by. People ought to go by and support that. That brings me to something that the Redding family has
Yes.
done, something that we need to be very, very excited about. Would you tell us about that?
Yes, ever since my father's death, when my mother was able had to struggle and maintain and keep a family together and his estate, the business part of it, she never forgot about his legacy and his well being and his name. And as time has gone by, I guess for the last 12 years, 12, almost 12, 13 years, when her and my sister started the foundation, that was just the stepping stone to keep my father's legacy alive. And my father always wanted to have, education for children about music. And
Mm-hmm.
Carla, my sister, is doing a great job with keeping the Otis Camp going and educating kids.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing I want to touch on, that what I've learned, what I hear from Carla about the camp, it's about the music. It's
Mm-hmm.
really about the music. And
What
mu-
happens at the camp?
what
What's
happens
that
at the
about?
camp, these kids will come in, that has to be over the age of, I'd say, 13 to 17. And when these kids come in, they're excited about music. Today, music grabs kids' attention
Yes, it
more than
does.
anything. Now you got this a good side and a bad side to
Yeah.
that, because you have uh, we don't have, back in, say, 30 years ago, when we music was about, let's just put it like this, we'll say music was about black music. I'll use black music for an
Mm-hmm.
example. We would have the Commodores, uh, Patti LaBelle, Stevie Wonder, Cameo, Frankie Beverly and Mace. We had, so if I named five, then there's probably 30, you know, classic R&B artists. Well, today you might only have five or six young classic artists, and the rest is hip hop,
Yeah.
street music.
Yeah.
I love street music. I love our music. I love classical rock, punk, whatever. But it's like sitting down watching horror movies or gangster movies all day. You got these kids who are listening to these artists
Yeah.
that are, most 90% of them are talking about things that they don't really do.
Uh-huh.
They're talking about money that they don't really have. And they're talking about a lifestyle that they're living that's kind of brainwashing these kids, and
And
they're
it's
thinking this
not
is what it's
realistic.
not
It's not.
realistic.
Yeah.
So when they come to the camp, there's a, a fact check, like a reality check. Let's keep it real with yourself. Write a song about you. Write a song about a good day. Keep it positive. If it starts to slide off a little bit to the gangster side, I'm sure they have a way of kind of pulling it back to the center.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But what I really like about the camp is when you got 200 kids for 2 weeks, somebody's gonna get a little bored and somebody's gonna get a little sideways. What I respect about the camp is the way the coaches have to also deal with these kids mentally and
Right.
say, hey, you're having a bad day, and talk to them, and then get back to the music. But you got to concentrate on what's going on in those kids' heads also.
Yeah, yeah. I've often felt that the camp was just really, really good. There are so many talented young people
Yes,
that need a direction, that
yes,
need to have their energy and their talent channeled
right,
in the right direction.
right,
And who knows, that camp could make the difference, because I know that y'all are in the business also of looking at talent
right,
and giving a platform for that talent, because y'all usually have a production
right, right.
after at the end of the camp. Tell us
Yes,
about that.
the finale show. It's in the they have the finale, and um, say every kid that was in the camp, they'll do probably 7 to 10 groups, and so it's probably 12 to 15 performances, and they all get there and they take whatever song they put together in the studio, and they have the coaches have a live band,
Yeah,
and so they get together and they do it, and everyone's parents are coming to see them do it, and it's a big deal for
yeah,
these
that is
kids,
great. That is great.
to I remember when I started playing guitar when I was 7 or 8, and did my first shows. I was probably around 11 or 12, and the feeling and excitement of having the opportunity to be on stage.
Yeah,
So when I go to the finale and I'm watching, and the kids are backstage waiting to go on, I know that rush. I know that feeling, and I know how exciting it is to be looking forward to go out there. It's almost like Christmas. When you're a
yeah,
kid, you just
yeah.
waiting to come downstairs and see what Santa brought.
Oh
you know.
my, my. For those of you who've just tuned in, you've tuned in to Ask Elaine. This is your voice, Commissioner Elaine Lucas, welcoming you to Ask Elaine. Our very, very special guest today is none other than Otis Redding III. And we're just kind of talking about the legacy of Otis Redding, how he keeps making Bibb County on the map, how he was proud of this community, and in his short life, he opened up music and Macon to the world
Yes.
forever and ever. And we've been talking about the camp that the Reading Foundation sponsors every summer, and about the finale, the big program that they have that showcases the talent of those young people who have participated. Pastor Lisa says, Miss Zelma Redding, we're going to talk about mom in just a minute. Her daughter and their entire family ought to be commended for keeping Otis Redding's legacy and other famous Macon icons recognized, as well as the work of educating and impacting local youth. And you're absolutely right, Pastor.
Thank you.
Steve Bryant, who calls us each week, he is a native Maconite, I believe, grew up in Pleasant Hill. He is in Virginia, and he tunes in every week
Awesome.
via Facebook Live. Um, Says 67 years old, and I saw them all growing up in Macon, Georgia. Do
Awesome.
you know Steve Bryant?
Not right off. I know a lot of people by
Yeah,
face.
yeah, me
I
too.
probably
Me
know them when I
too.
see them.
Me too.
Yes.
It is so nice to have all of you there with us today. Thank you so very much. Kimberlyn Carter is back from her world travels, and we're going to have her on very soon. I hope that she's not going back out of town. Kimberlyn is the executive director of Rep Georgia,
Awesome.
and it's an organization that works to recruit people to run for office. So, she's been real busy. But she says, hey, Otis, thanks for all you do. Happy Black Music Month.
Awesome. Thank
I
you.
had forgotten that it was Black Music Month, because Big George
Yes.
used to always have the Black Music Month um, event out at Tobosofsky. He
That's right.
did it for years and years and
Yes.
years. Had
Yes.
music, They had all kinds of athletic kinds of things going on out at Tobesofsky. And so I had forgotten that it was that June was Black Music Month. So this is just so appropriate, so appropriate. So we thank all of you for tuning in today, whether it's on AM, FM, or whether you're on Facebook with us, the glory. And we want to thank the good folks here at WDDO. First of all, those two wonderful guys who bought the station,
Yes.
bought that, and who have it back up and running. And we are just so proud to be a part of it. Yeah, Big Joy's a giant Georgia radio DJ. Yeah, Pastor.
Yes.
Um, now, Miss Zelma
Yes.
Redding, what's she
Yes.
up to these days?
Holding down the camp, holding
Uh
down the
huh.
fort, holding
Uh huh.
everything down. I'm so thankful that she's to have my mother. She's alert. She knows what's going on. She can still drive if she wants to,
Oh,
but she
that's good.
chooses not to.
Uh
Her
huh.
and Carl are together every day, but my mother is still alert and very active in taking care of the Otis Redding estate, and she knows
That's
what's going
great.
on. The camp. Um, she's very instrumental in, even though we're all grown, she's very instrumental in making sure that she feels like I gave you had something to do. I tell you, I say around 2011 or 12, I was kind of coming out of the whole just doing independent projects for people in the
Mm-hmm.
studio, and I
Mm-hmm.
didn't have a lot going on.
Mm-hmm.
And she says, I'm going to you need to find you something to do. And so they called her up from, so Giovanna Lattimore, my executive director up at Meals on Wheels, called
Mm-hmm.
the Otis Redding Foundation and said, do you have any volunteers we could use? So, and my mother told her, yes, I'm sending one up there right
Oh
now. So
yeah.
she sent me there, and I started volunteering at Meals on Wheels 2013,
Uh-huh.
and I fell in love with it, and I
Oh.
really love it.
Yeah.
So,
Before we get to talking about Meals on Wheels,
mhm.
Kimberly wants us to ask, what do you think about the current state of Black music? And we talked a little bit about that, but would you kind of expound on that just a little bit more? And then she wants you to talk about how you would advise up and coming artists to engage the music industry, social media, and this new world of music.
Okay, I'm so glad she asked that. The state of Black music today is it's kind of in a weird situation because it's living more of the lie than, it's more prevalent. It's just a lot of the lie out there,
Yeah,
and it's a lot of brainwashing now that started in the early '90s. With like NWA, Luke, and all of that, but
yeah.
it just
And
wasn't.
all the information is
Hmm.
it's
It's
misguiding,
misguiding, and this.
especially young people.
But see, back in the '90s, it was just a handful of that, a
Mm-hmm.
handful out there.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it's just a ton. It's just the whole
Well,
industry.
we sat back and let a lot of things slip through.
That's right.
We sat back politically
Hmm.
and we let our votes be taken away.
Hmm.
We sat back musically and we allowed all this new stuff to take over. And now you can't even understand what someone's saying on a lot.
Exactly.
It's the funniest thing,
Exactly.
Otis. I'll be sitting up in the car
Uh huh.
and there might be a song and I like the beat of it, and I'm
Right.
singing and my grands will tell me those are not the words.
Right.
I don't even know what the words are.
Right.
So, but they know.
Right.
They
Exactly.
know and it's not positive stuff.
Hmm.
So, parents have got to pay attention
Really need to pay
to
closer
the
attention.
lyrics. They
Yes.
got to pay attention to it.
Yes.
And just because it's cute and that little baby, is there shaking to it
Yeah.
does not mean
It
it's
is good.
good.
Doesn't mean
And
it's
then
good.
when they start cursing or saying some of those words
Hmm.
that are in the song and you wonder where they got it,
That's right. I
you
think
know.
that if a lot of people, if we could just get half of society to go back to more or less like it was when it was church songs and stuff like that,
Uh-huh.
it doesn't
Uh-huh.
mean you gotta stay with that and you just gotta be a gospel artist. And also, there are no people today considering yourself a performer could be just because you bought a gadget that has taken bits and pieces of someone else's
Yeah.
music and you're
Yeah.
looping like GarageBand. I'm not hating on it; it's a good thing. GarageBand is software that comes in these Mac computers and comes preloaded with
Mm-hmm.
music, and it really takes no creativity except for how to take somebody else's music that's already out and put it together.
Yeah.
So, in other words, kids are not learning to play instruments anymore. They're taking music that's already loops and saying, I wrote a song.
Yeah.
You didn't write a song. You
Yeah.
took bits and pieces of somebody else's music and made something. You know,
Right.
that's one thing people are not doing. People are not really concentrating. You don't have to be a Whitney Houston anymore. They rather hear somebody that has character and a style and
Mm-hmm.
a really different kind of voice and some gimmick. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
that's okay,
Mm-hmm.
but we don't need a whole entire society like that. You
Right.
know, I
Right.
mean,
You got to come away from the fake.
yeah, you got to come away from it
That's
at
where
some
we've
point. Yeah,
gotten into fake a lot of stuff.
right. And today with social media, the good thing about social media is it can help you because there are no record deals anymore. Like until you have made it, until you've gone viral yourself, that's the only time the record companies want to give you a record deal. So
Uh
you got
huh.
to make it yourself on social media, and
Uh
then
huh.
the big companies get interested. There's that aspect of it. There's the good side of that and the bad side of that. Then you have the fact that you've got to be a little bit more cautious about the business side of it. I know so many artists that are just so anxious to go and say, well, these companies have put me on, and then you know, you can go out and start. I look at these rappers; it look like it's like about a 10-year run.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
10-year run. Now you got
Yeah.
some. You know who the classics are. You know who the legends are.
Yeah.
You know we know who
And
those
they're
15.
the ones who could play, who could really
Mm-hmm.
sing and
Yeah,
everything.
that's right.
And they had safeguards over their money.
That's right. That's right. And they're
Safeguards over
still doing
their
well.
money.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you have some that were put in these situations. I tell you, what I enjoyed about being who I am, being the son of Otis Redding, I got my first record deal when I was 15 years old. We
Hmm.
did 6 albums. And a lot of people was like, I mean, that's a big deal on all major labels.
Yeah.
But one thing that was always in the back of my mind was this has to come to an end.
Yeah.
The thing
Yeah.
is, can you handle it?
Yeah.
A
Yeah.
lot of these kids, a lot of these artists, they can't handle it.
It's the same way with athletics.
Yeah, you just can't handle it.
You have the talent, maybe.
Hmm.
Maybe people hype you up and make you think you might have more than you do. And
Right.
then the average athlete lasts, if with no major injury, lasts just a few years, what, 4 or 5
That's it.
years? And then where's your money?
Where's your money?
Where's your talent?
Yeah.
You got tattoos all over every inch of your body. What are you going to do
What are you gonna do
with
now?
all of that? How you
Exactly.
gonna exist for the rest of your life with all of that?
Yes.
So we got a lot of thinking to do. We have
Yes.
got, and maybe old Trump with his crazy behind, maybe they'll put him in jail.
Maybe.
I am hoping. I am just hoping. I am so hopeful. That girl just wore him out
She
yesterday
let a
on
whole lot go.
she told a lot of stuff.
Kind of
He
scared
gonna
for her though.
grab the arm of his secret service.
Yeah.
Oh goodness, he was
Yeah.
lucky. They knew he was crazy. That's why they
Right.
just said, now don't sit on back.
Yeah.
Sit
Right.
on back
Yes.
before we really have to work on you. But that's another story we're gonna talk about
Right.
with Kim when she comes on. But back to the music. You've
Yes.
shared with us some very, very interesting information about music and about how it's changed and about what is happening now with people. You have a lot of folks that you see one day
Hmm.
and then you don't see them after that. There may be one song
Right. Right.
and everybody's singing it. And then,
Well, one thing that I wish everybody would think about is I hate to make it a black and white thing, but check this out. All the black music, there's some mainstream R&B music that's and some artists like her and
Mm-hmm.
Jill Scott, Erica Badu. They're holding on and
Oh yeah.
they're doing a good thing. But on the other side, with what we called funk music, like Cameo, the Reddings, Lakeside, that is the music now that the pop artists are doing. The music,
Yeah.
I tell you, like Bruno Mars,
Yeah.
what he's doing, that's pop music.
Uh-huh.
Do you know the entire pop and white music industry is doing that? And black artists have just left it alone. So we've just
We
given it
always
away,
trail. We just
gave it away.
we if we stopped voting
And yeah, and the
and
sad,
other folks
hmm
started voting, and so they we can't get the Voting Rights Act. They
yeah,
took away your right to say what you do with your body. I mean, we let stuff get away from us. We can mess around and
it's gone.
continue in this way, and we will be back on the plantation. They just gonna have to kill me because I'm not
Not
going.
gonna do it. Not gonna
I'm
let it
not
go.
going. Kimberly, are you going? I'm not going. But if it's left to people who ignore what's happening and abandon the church,
Yes,
we've abandoned a lot of our institutions. We won't send money to the college that gave us an education.
right,
Other folks send money to their schools, and that's how they're able to keep everything going and have a super team of all of this and that and the other, including lacrosse
right,
and all of
exactly.
this stuff. We have got to support
hmm
those things, the bridges that have brought us across,
Right,
and be respectful of those folks who paved the way, who put their lives out there on the line, and they actually have done that.
right,
uh
right. They actually have.
for us, so we've got to protect these things, because there's some folks that are out there actively working to take it away
Yes.
from us.
And they
I'm
have taken
sorry
a no, it's
to
okay. They
go.
have taken a lot. They've taken it because now there are a ton of groups out there that are doing pop funk music. And the sad thing about it is they can do it and they can be accepted. But no, you can't think of any black artists now that are doing the music that started like funk music.
Hmm.
Good, like what Lakeside, Cameo, Earth, Wind, and Fire was
Yeah.
doing. There are no black groups doing that. There are
Yeah.
no bands.
Yeah.
Name up Bruno Mars
Well,
and
they
Anderson
can
Paak,
really
maybe.
play.
There are no
They
band.
can
We don't
really
have any
play.
bands anymore. We don't. But there are a lot of white bands, which is cool. I mean, I'm glad that I'm really glad that they are still doing it because other than that, all you really hear is just somebody with a beat that's looped and
Uh-huh.
taken from somewhere else, and
Uh-huh.
and I don't get me wrong, I
Oh,
love hip hop, I
I
love
know.
street music,
Yeah. Yeah.
but we really need to save our substance,
We really do.
you
We
know.
need to save
Yeah.
what's ours. What is, we always end up, we're just such good people. We like to give away all of
Right.
our best
Exactly.
stuff. We give away all of our best stuff. We've got to stop doing that.
Exactly.
We got to keep it for ourselves.
Exactly.
I wanted to go back because I mentioned my cousin Bess,
Yes.
Sylvester Huckabee,
Yes. Yes.
and we all little Huckabees. We grew up in Bellevue. My cousin Bess could not. He didn't know whether he wanted to be gangster or legit, and
Wow.
he just kind of moved back and forth from one to the other. But now he was the driver and bodyguard for your
Bodyguard for
dad.
me. I remember this. I remember him so well. As a matter of fact, his nephew Cedric Coley
Uh
and
huh.
I we're best friends,
Uh huh. Uh huh.
and Charlie.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
took me on my first cross country trip in the Winnebago. My
Uh
mom
huh.
went to San Francisco, but Vess and my father were very, very tight,
Yeah.
and I'm so blessed to have been able to. He shared stories with me about my father and everything, and I was able to drive him to
Yeah.
my mom's house to meet with movie writers and stuff about my dad.
Vest has been included. Steve Bryant says he knew my cousin Vest. Well, you knew, if you knew Vest, he didn't play. He has
Right.
it's a real interesting story, and his snippets of his life have been included in several other folks'
Of
books
course.
that they have written. One, the Allman Brothers,
Yes.
some
Yes.
of them have done a book. and they included some things interesting. But Vince was a genius.
Yes.
He was a big old guy, big old strong guy, smart.
Yes.
And it's just an example of someone who, depending on which way you decide to go,
Decisions.
you've got to make that decision as to whether you want to be legitimate or whether you want to be
Street.
street.
Gangster.
And my cousin, we would see him go away. He would commit some crime or whatever. He'd go away to prison. The next thing you know, he was back.
Right.
So I guess it was a combination of good behavior and
Yes.
running the prison, which
Yeah.
I'm sure he did,
Yeah.
and maybe your dad,
Right.
had some part, and all of the other folks, because he was just a dynamic person.
Very much.
He was just dynamic, and um, died tragically
Yes.
because of lifestyle.
Right.
But anyway, enough about him. We've talked about your mom. We've talked about the Reading Foundation, the big
Yes.
old foundation. Tell us about this new project that's coming online very soon.
You may
The new
wish.
building.
The
The
new
new
building,
building.
the Creative Arts Center. So Carla has and my mom, they've been working hard, and every year they have over either at Mercer or Mount DeSales where the camp will be. So they've raised enough money now and bought property, which is the old New Way downtown,
Mm-hmm.
and the Creative Arts Center will probably break ground next year, and will be there. That will be where the training and all the
Uh-huh.
teaching and a place for the kids to come, and that'll be it.
That's
Right
great.
downtown on Cotton Avenue.
That's
Yes.
great. That's
Yes.
great. And I was invited to come when you did the
The groundbreaking. Yes.
announcement and all of that, and I wasn't able to make it. But if what nothing don't happen and the creek don't rise, is
Yes.
that what it is?
That's
I'm
right.
always trying to
Hmm.
repeat these sayings. I always get them wrong. But anyway, I do plan to be there with for the grand opening of that, because I just think it's wonderful. I think it's good that Black history,
Yes.
that is keeping Black history alive and carrying it on into the future and spotlighting a Black man
Right.
who
Yes.
helped to put Macon on the map. And I just think that is wonderful. And Pastor Lisa agrees, and the others do as well. That is just something great. Now let's get to your project, your volunteer project, the
Okay.
one that your mom sent you
Yes.
to volunteer, Meals on Wheels. Tell us about that program, and tell us about what y'all as a board have been able to do, and what other folks can do for to assist Meals on Wheels.
Okay. So 2013, I started volunteering, and I started going out twice a week doing a morning deliveries, and it was like a job for me for three
Mm-hmm.
years straight. I just every Tuesdays and Thursdays I would do uh, Clisby Towers and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that side of town, and I had some East Side stuff, and I really did like it. And 2014, 15, I became a board member. I was very relaxed, just kind of sitting back, and it was a lot to me. It was a lot. It was very difficult. I was like, this is really complicated just to feed people. This is a lot
Mm-hmm.
of work, a
Mm-hmm.
lot of
You
business.
would think it was real easy. Take them some
It,
food,
it's
give it
just
to them, and stuff.
yeah,
It is more
it is a
complicated
lot more
than that.
complicated because then I realized that you have to get into the older Americans nutrition, and you can't just you know me. I was like, I would see, well, we don't, these people are on the waiting list. I'm like, what are y'all talking about? Waiting list. Let's just go to S&S and buy some food. Da, da, da. It's not that
Yeah,
simple.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know, it's all about the nutrition. You got to follow a lot of guidelines. Triple A is our biggest sponsor, donor, and it's all about reimbursement. So you have a lot of rules and
Hmm.
regulations. what a lot of people get confused about Meals on Wheels, it's not so much about income. It's being over 60 to 65 years old. It's not really about if you make too much money, because the problem what we want to feed people. You could be wealthy, but you could be at home and not be able to
Right.
get up and
Right.
fix your own meal.
Right.
Or you could be wealthy and have kids that live in Atlanta, or kids that work from 8 o'clock in the morning till
Right.
5, and
Right.
there's no time in between. So that's where we
Mhm.
come in.
You have any idea about how many people Meals on Wheels serves
Yes,
each day?
about
Tell us
900
about them.
people. About 900 people.
900
Yes,
people, and
yes.
that's one meal a day.
Depending upon when we have different grants, we have a grant and a situation coming up now, where we will be going out giving 2 meals. We'll take 2 meals at one
Oh,
time,
that's
but it will be
great.
2 meals. They'll have 2 meals.
That's great because
Um,
it used to be
it
one. I
used to be
remember
one.
my aunt, who
Hmm.
was, I think, 95
Hmm.
at the time. She was such a good cook. She always would fuss about how the food
Yeah,
tastes
yeah,
and
and
stuff.
we can't
She,
satisfy everybody, and
right. But
everybody thinks that we cook the food, but what it is, they've governed it out to whereas there are companies that get the bid to
right,
provide the
right.
food
But
to
they
us.
do have requirements, health and
Oh,
safety and
oh,
all of that,
there's a
or they
diet,
can't provide
or
the
we
food.
cannot get that
Yeah,
food from them
yeah.
if they're not following the right rules
So
and regulations.
900 folks, that's a lot of people. But the
Yes,
last time I looked, last report that was given several years ago, there was still a waiting list.
yes, and
There
this,
are people who are still not
yes,
getting adequate food,
that's
folks
right.
who are over at or over that age. So,
Right. And so what happens is when we get in a situation like that, something we're lucky enough sometimes to get good grants like COVID grants, and Bibb County is just has helped us. The commissioners, we just thank you guys so much. It's such a blessing. We had previous directors that were not following up, well,
mm-hmm.
just not following up and taking advantage of what you guys had put out there for us, because they were just kind of lazy and didn't want to do the paperwork.
Uh-huh.
You
Uh-huh.
you you got to
Well,
follow through.
y'all were on it. Y'all were right there.
Yeah.
What can y'all do to help
Yes.
Meals on Wheels?
Hmm.
And here's a suggested amount and all
Right.
of that. And the
Yes.
county assisted, and we're happy
Yes.
to do it because all these citizens are the same folks
Hmm.
that we go and ask them to vote for us.
Right.
And seniors at that age form the highest voting block, and I don't know whether folks know that or not, but seniors vote. Those are the folks who carry the weight. They're the ones, you look at the numbers, they
Right.
vote in higher numbers than any other age group. And so when you vote in those kind of numbers, people will look at what your needs are.
Right.
They should be looking at them all the time, but it doesn't always happen. But y'all have been just such advocates for folks and for feeding people. And one of the things that I mentioned was the fact that there was some of the seniors going to the senior center
Yes.
who were not in a feeding program.
Right.
Have y'all been able to kind of work
Yes.
with that?
We are, because what we'll do, we'll take one of our COVID grants and we have what we call a grocery program. So regardless if there's a waiting list, we don't have to. We could take 40 to 50 people and say, well, we have money here, and we don't have to. We'll buy the same meals, but we
Good,
don't have to wait for a
good.
AAA to
Yeah,
reimburse us. We can
that's
just still
great.
go ahead and feed people.
That is
Yes.
great.
Yes.
That is
It is.
great. That's a right
Yes.
that everybody should have. That's to have food,
Yes.
to have clean water, to have clean air, to be safe, to be able to eat. But in this country, the most powerful country in the world, we have millions of people who are hungry,
And it acts
children and older folks.
right.
It should not be
It
that
should
way.
not be that
When
way.
we throw away food,
Yes.
we throw away tons on top of tons of food. It should not be that
It
way.
shouldn't be that way. No, and another thing, when we're able to get these people off of the list and into the program, or feed these people throughout one of our grocery programs. It actually keeps people out of nursing homes and
Yes.
hospitals.
Yes.
You know,
Nutrition.
nutrition, it really does.
Nutrition.
And
Yeah.
another thing, these people have pet companions. A lot of times we found out some of these people were taking their own food and that they wouldn't eat it all
Oh.
and they want to give it to their pets. So what we do is we have enough grants and everything where we get money to be able to
Food
take
for
them
the
dog
pets.
foods, yeah, for their
Oh.
pets, because the companion
Now,
animals are that's very important to these people.
uh, someone's asking for volunteer information. Do
Yes,
you have a number
yes, I
that you
do.
can give?
Yes, you could reach out to us by email at info@mowmidga.org, or you can call us at 478-745-9140. That's 478-745-9140. Or go to our website, that's midga.org,
Okay.
www.midga.org.
All right. So you've got that information. If you have a question or if you have a comment that you want to direct to our special guest, Otis Redding III, who has just been delightful. He's
Thank you.
just really charming. Um, we've just been sitting over here on the dock of the bay, watching the tide roll away,
Yeah.
and we've been enjoying conversation today. If you have a question or comment, please call us. We only have a little more time left. This just goes by so fast. I hope you've gotten the volunteer information and that you will make contact with Meals on Wheels. If you know of some people who would benefit from the services offered by Meals on Wheels, they have gotten additional funding so that they
Yes.
can provide for additional clients. So if you would just make that contact and
Yes.
let the staff of Meals on Wheels know. And then let them know that you heard about it on Ask Elaine, that Otis Redding the third, who's a member of their board, was the one that was telling you about it. And he wanted you to volunteer. So here you are calling.
Please do. Please call us. That's four
Yeah,
seven eight 478-745-9140.
9140.
40. Yes.
Okay. Or just so simple, Google it and Meals on Wheels,
Of
Middle
Middle Georgia.
Georgia,
Yes.
and you can get all that information. And they do accept contributions.
Yes.
We want to say hello to Amzie Rouse Robinson. And okay, I think you've got several volunteers
Great.
who are
Well, thank
going
you
to
so
be
much.
making contact. These folks don't play. These
That's,
folks that listen to Ask Elaine,
that's right.
they get this information and they go to work.
Well,
They go to work.
hey, you gotta support Miss Elaine. I was just telling her she probably gets so tired of me saying it. It's an honor to always see you
And WD.
everything. Talk to you here right now. It's an honor. Thank you, man.
Well, it's an honor to have you here, not only because of what your family does, but because of what you personally do for
Thank you.
this community. You
Thank you.
provide talent, but you're also involved in an organization like Meals on Wheels.
Thank
So
you.
we just want to thank you. I think that I heard some music. This engineer has to keep me straight
Okay.
here so I don't blow up the station. Um, so I thought though that, he says we've got 5 more minutes,
Awesome.
because I think I was late. I was turning in on two wheels. But we want to give you an opportunity to say just whatever you'd like to say to our listeners. I know they have enjoyed. I'd like for you to congratulate our graduates from
Congratulations,
this
graduates.
weekend. We had 23,
Yes.
and they were all ages. Uh, all ages, and they were all just thrilled. So,
Great.
would you say something, some words of encouragement to them?
Yes, of course. I would like to say that to all of the graduates, we're very proud of you for making the big step and finishing. And we hope that you will stay on the path that you're on and talk to some other kids and encourage them to get on a different path, or just be mindful if their mind is starting to wander, or if they get a little sidetracked, so that we can try to curb what's going on with our kids. If all of us as people in this community can just reach out a little bit every day to somebody, to tell these, if you know somebody that looks like they're going through something, or they look like they could be the one to be the bad guy, it's not anything wrong with trying to give it a chance to just say something to them, because this has to
Right.
stop. It's
That's
just
right.
ridiculous.
You're right.
It's
You're
too
right.
sad. Too
You're
sad.
right. Steve Bryant enjoyed the show from his hometown. Pastor Lisa salutes the graduates. Pastor Lisa and Dr. Butler are on our Distinguished Educators Board of Advisors. Our motivational talk was given by our district attorney,
Yes.
Anita Reynolds Howard. That girl is everywhere,
Yes.
everywhere. And she presented special gift bags to our graduates. We also would like to thank the local branch NAACP, Gwinnett Westbrooks. They prepared special gift bags
Great.
for our graduates, and we want to thank them. I think Gwen had some homemade candied apples, and
Oh,
we
really?
will wish her a happy 60th birthday
Happy
as well.
birthday.
And the last thing we want to do is to express our condolences to, hey, Desmond Brown, you didn't win it, but you sure put a scare in some folks. You had them making phone calls and stuff. They were sure scared. But we want to express our condolences to Baldwin County Commissioner Emily Davis, who lost her mom, Miss Geneva Davis, who was a former Milledgeville a county commissioner, and then her father had also, Mr. Oscar Davis, had
Okay.
also been a county commissioner
Okay.
there in
Okay.
Milledgeville in Baldwin County. So we want to express our condolences to her. And then thank you, Kimberly, for the graduates. And happy birthday to those who had birthdays in June. We'll be going into July. I guess we got to leave. We've said everything we
Thanks for
needed to
having
say.
me. Thank
Otis,
you so
thank you
much.
so much
Looking
for
forward.
being here.
Yes.
So, thank you all for tuning in to this week's edition of Ask Elaine. We look forward to you being back again next Wednesday, 3 p.m. And we hope we can get Kimberlyn on if she's not going out of town again. But we got to talk politics, and we got to talk voting rights. We've got to talk personal health decisions. All of those are things that we need to be working and making sure that we keep as rights and don't let anybody take them away from us. So, on behalf of all the folks here, on behalf of Otis Redding III, his family, all the folks here at WDDO, thank you so much. We'll see you again next Wednesday, 3 p.m., for another edition of Ask Elaine.